I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I tried to do these videos in a pretty positive light most of the time, and today is not a day when I'm feeling very much positivity because, well, I'll put it this way. I learned last summer that probably the single biggest issue I have sourcing anything for my farming operation is buying bulk fertilizer. Every single problem I've ever had trying to get my hands on this stuff has been caused by just complete and total general incompetence on the behalf of the companies who sell this stuff, and just in general everything needing to be as difficult as humanly possible. I'll put it this way. I got my dump trailer behind me. This trip that we're on right now here today is, I believe, the 5th time I've turned up at a place that sells bulk fertilizer looking to buy bulk fertilizer, and as of right now I've never been able to actually purchase even 1 single ounce of this stuff. Literally not one time, and that's just driving around. I wasted probably 6-8 hours last summer trying to find somewhere who would even just sell me this stuff, because the problem is that I farm all over the place. I have farms in like 2 or 3 different areas of the place where I live, and the way that these fertilizer places usually function is that they have these buggies, you know, these, for anybody who has somehow managed to be fortunate enough to never have to deal with one of these rolling monstrosities in their life. Let me tell you about these stupid buggies that I hate so much. So imagine a trailer, like a dump trailer, but it doesn't dump. It's got a fixed bed, and it's got this little whirligig deal off the back of it that the fertilizer comes out of, and it hits and it launches it. Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? Doesn't that just sound bloody excellent? You don't have to shovel anything. You know, they just put the fertilizer in this, you go to your field, and that's that. Doesn't that just sound like the greatest thing in the history of mankind? No, it isn't. It bloody sucks, and here's why. Now, you take this idea. Now, remember, it has to be built in the stupidest way humanly possible, which is just to make it as cheap and crappy as humanly possible, because, you know, that way it doesn't affect the average American's budget for frivolities and nonsense. So that's what they do. These things have no suspension on them, so they'll load 5, 7, 9,000 pounds of fertilizer into these things, and then you're supposed to take this thing with you, and there's no suspension. So you're going down back roads at literally 10 miles an hour, or if you go any faster than that, the tongue on that's just boom, 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 just beating your truck apart. And now imagine going across a field like that. It's the same thing, just boom, 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 boom. Forbid we spend $300 more adding a set of trailer suspension springs to that when they build. So the other thing is there's no brakes on these. So, you know, these rolling piles of scrap metal probably weigh 4,000 or 5,000 pounds empty. You put 9,000 pounds of fertilizer in that. So then you've got, what, 14,000 pounds or whatever cruising down the road at 70 miles an hour, because retards take these things out on the highway. And then even if you don't, if you stick to the back roads, you still have to try and stop that. And then of course they roll on implement tires, so you got issues with those and deal, because we can't put proper trailer tires on them because that also costs money. And then the absolute worst part of these things is that it's the way that they're driven. They're not, you know, they're not like PTO spreader. There's some nice dry fertilizer spreaders that run on the tractor's power takeoff, you know, it's spinning shaft that powers the motor one. Can't have anything like that because that also costs money. So what they do is they take some Chinese pillow block bearings and they fabric cobble this thing that looks like a hamster cage, and they just have this thing grinding into the tire all the time. And the problem is it's held in place by one of those crappy springs. So every time you hit a bump with this thing, which is brutal because there's no suspension, that squirrel cage thing, it rides on the tire normally and spins. Every time you hit a bump, it pops off like that. So it doesn't spread in a normal, you can't spread in a uniform fashion with this. I've used one of these things once, never again. I knew it was gonna be really, really bad, before I used it, just from everything that I'd seen on those and stories, and it was worse than, it was even worse than I thought it would be. So anyway, where I'm going with this is these fertilizer places, all these places that sell bulk fertilizer, most of them have a rule that they won't load it into anything other than their own bulk spreaders. If you have your own, they won't do it. If you bring a trailer, like I honestly think it's because my trailer has a suspension and brakes and working lights. They take one look at that and they say, sir, this is just not crappy enough to use on any road anywhere within the state of Texas, so get off my property with it, we're not loading you. They won't load into anything other than these spreaders. So, and I learned this the hard way. I don't know why. I mean, I'm kind of making a joke with what I just said, but that's really the only explanation I can come up with, because they just won't do it. I can't believe it, guys. After 5 trips attempting to buy fertilizer, literally dozens of phone calls, and like I said, 5 trips, I have actually gotten some fertilizer. It was amazing. Everything lined up. I go to the place. It's not just closed for no apparent reason. Oh, and the other thing, one time I tried to go here and they're closed because they don't have electricity. I'm not making this up. Now that one's not really their fault. I get that those things happen, but it wasn't even a storm or anything. There's just no power that day. I don't know. Anyway, that was another problem. Anyway, I actually have fertilizer. It was great. I went there. They had electricity. They actually had fertilizer. They weren't just closed for no reason. And it was just done. I can't believe that it actually worked. I've tried to do that at least 5 separate times, and it just now worked. This is great. This must be how the Wright brothers felt when that piece of junk actually flew. I can't believe it. I just went to the fertilizer place. It just bought fertilizer. There were no problems. Okay, so it is a little after 6:30 p.m. As you can see, it is completely pitch black dark out here. And I got to navigate my way down this farm road to where the field begins. You know what, I'll be honest, I do not want to be out here spreading this. What I wish I had is a nice building, or like a 3-sided shed where I could just back this trailer so I know it's not going to get rained on. But I mean, it's not even an option to leave this out overnight. Last summer, I think I remember on 2 separate occasions that I remember, the weather was clear. It wasn't supposed to rain, and I left out bagged fertilizer. It's just massive thunderstorms, just like an inch plus of rain on this stuff. And, you know, probably reduced the potency. It cost me a lot of money. One thing that we do not have access to farming here is a forecast that's in any way, shape, or form passably reliable. Sure glad I bought this nice LED headlamps to wear when I'm working late, and then promptly forgot to put them in the tractor. All right, here's this. I need to do this while it's still attached to the tractor, so it can't go anywhere. You know what, I'm actually gonna raise the 3-point hitch so it's it peak dealio, so it can't jolt up like that. Look, that's already, what, 10, 15, I don't know, 5 degrees, I don't know, I suck at math. It's a start. Is it all in the back? No, most of it's not even moved. What the heck? That's like most of the way up. Man, this is just gonna be as difficult as possible. But you know what? The chances of it raining, if I don't do this tonight, I mean, okay, I heard something move. I mean, they're 100%, if not more. So it's just not a chance I can take. I don't know how much higher I can raise this. Okay, that might have been a winner. I don't know how much higher I can raise this without the tail end of it bottoming out on the dirt, although it's just loose field dirt, so it's not like it's hard packed rock. It probably won't actually hurt anything. Come on, I don't have time for any of this. Why won't it move? I'll be honest with you guys, that was almost as inefficient as this morning, but as you can see, the fertilizer has actually moved back. So although that was kind of a mess, it was still faster than shoveling it by hand. Man, this stuff is dusty. I don't know if you can even see the clouds of dust through that window, but man, I'm really not sure why. I've spread, I don't know, at least 2 different kinds of fertilizer on multiple different occasions, and I've never seen anything that's as dusty as this. I'm out, got it all spread. Let me adjust that trailer a little bit. You know, overall, honestly, all things considered, I think that went really well. All right, I'm happy to announce that it did not rain last night, and today we've got to kick out the rest of this fertilizer. This is actually the first place that I ever planted with my new no-till drill, and I'm very, very, very happy with how this has turned out. Looks like a yard almost. Just nice, thick, lush green blanket here. Man, look at that though. I'm really happy with that. That's a lot better stand than I ever got with the broadcast spreader, at least here. All right, we're here. Actually, I got to raise the hitch on this up. Today, I got the bags of fertilizer spread out at another place that I farm. Rode out to the fertilizer place and got all of this stuff here, which I need to spread. So, yeah, oh yeah, and this is one of the farms where I actually store hay. So soon I'll start hauling this stuff out of here. But I gotta get all my stuff out of this and then we'll tip it so all that fertilizer goes back and it's easier to shovel. That actually worked really well. I got smart, guys, and dropped some bolts through those drainage holes before I left. All right, let's see what happens. Got to cover the first half of a 53 or 55, whatever it is, farmable acre property that I lease. Already off to a rough start, man. Running late. I followed the GPS's instructions from the fertilizer place to get to this field, and I knew it was sending me a very stupid way, but I didn't know how bad it was. It was way, way far out of the way. And to make matters worse, because that's not bad enough, can never just be whatever the surface level seems to be problem-wise. I'm cruising down this empty highway, and all of a sudden it's not so empty, and there's a bunch of cars that are stopped because there was probably a fatality accident due to all the heavy traffic on these like 2-lane roads. And so that's totally closed, and got to get on these completely unpaved, like middle of nowhere back roads, which have been on for quite some time now. What a pain, man. Left at a reasonable hour. I hope to be at this field before lunch. This really, really sucks. I think I'm gonna have to go back to navigating everything the old-fashioned way, because these computers, these cell phones, there's just too many problems that come from using them. I mean, I could have looked at a map and figured out a more intelligent way to get to this place. Anyway, so it begins. You know, one thing that does make me feel a lot better is I'm a little under 2 months behind where I should be planting wise due to unseasonable amounts of rain. Because why is there a cement truck going down this road? I don't know, they're probably building a subdivision out here. Anyway, yeah, I was pretty much on track, and it just started raining, which is weird because we never get rain this time of year. Man, what a mess. Why are there random people standing out in the middle of this road? Where on earth? All right, I'm finally here. It's a little wetter than I'd like it to be out here, which sucks, but I mean, come on, it's farming in Texas. It's gonna be flooded. Good news is that the triticale seems to be coming up really well. You can see all those little rows from that seed drill. Man, I love that thing. It's awesome, because before I used to just plant everything with a broadcast seeder and I got really inconsistent stands. This is very consistent. Generally speaking, maybe a little more fine tuning is needed, but man, it got it done. Oh look, and I got bales up there too. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting everything in the ground and fertilized, because when that happens, I'm gonna start selling hay. It'll be really nice to get some money coming in. This stuff is so dusty. Just powders everything up. Away we go.